Well, hey there, guys. I'm Axel Beast, ZeldaEngine.net, and this is gonna be kind of a short video, or at least I hope it's short. If I don't, like ramble on excessively for, to a degree that the topic doesn't deserve. But I'm going to be talking about Skyward Sword's missed opportunities. Now, not like I've talked about this in the past. How I think the game, despite being an incredible, amazing game and my new favorite of the series, it had some missed opportunities and things it could have done but didn't. I'm not actually going to be discussing that broadly here. I mainly just have two ideas of things they could have done that seem like serious missed opportunities. And I just think that they were incredibly interesting ideas and wanted to share them with you guys because I thought that they would have added to the game a lot and wanted to know what you guys think, of course. But it's just kind of an odd video, just not exactly a serious discussion topic, but I think that they're cool ideas that, kind of the kind of thing that Nintendo should keep in mind with future Zelda games doing stuff like this. The first has to do with Scervo, the mini-boss of the Sand Ship dungeon in Skyward Sword. Now, the boss of that dungeon was Tantalus, the big Monsters, Inc. Tentacle Monster, Eyeball Monster reject. Eyeball Monster, Tentacle Monster reject from Monsters, Inc. Excuse me, grammar, I forgot it. He was like this big monster boss, like a lot of, Zelda big monster bosses, and I think that, I find it kind of odd that Skyward Sword had so many bosses that were just, like what we see in standard Zelda, gigantic monsters. Now, I'm not complaining. I'm a big fan of gigantic monsters, but it seems a little strange in a game that has a focus on swordplay. They kind of tried to balance it out by making it so, like, all the mini-bosses were sword-based fights. Pretty much almost every single one with, like, almost no exceptions, but just, like, a handful. I think they could have balanced that better. More bosses other than just Ghirahim who were fought with the sword, and more mini-bosses that weren't just fought with the sword. I think that they could have balanced that out better. In particular, I think Tantalus should have been an overworld boss. I think there should have been more of those in general, especially in Skyward Sword, which seemed like a perfect game for it. But I think Tantalus should have been fought in the overworld, in the Sand Sea. Maybe as you're still trying to find the Sand Ship, maybe he destroys a derelict that you have to explore or something. And, the same fight, just somewhere else. And then on the Sand Ship, you fight Scervo as the mini-boss. Now, I don't want to change that fight. That was an awesome fight. But the thing about Scervo is he was a really cool character. He was this robot who kept himself running so long, and you didn't even fight him when one of the time shift stones were active. That's really cool. That made him a really awesome character. But imagine how scary he would have been if a time shift stone did activate. What if the whole battle goes exactly like it did, but he doesn't actually die when he hits the sand below? Actually, once you've completed the dungeon and you got outside, then Scervo appears and activates the time shift stone on the deck, and then he's at full power, exactly like he was in the past, and you have to take him on as the dungeon boss. That'd be kind of sword fighty, but maybe he could have a lot of crazy attacks and he's just generally so dangerous you can't take him on. Maybe you actually have to shoot the time shift stone to make him weak again. Like things like that. I think that would have been a really awesome, really unique boss fight. And I think Tantalus was just kind of like, I feel like Tantalus kind of shouldn't have been there. Maybe that just has to do with the fact that I thought Tantalus was going to be an overworld boss when I saw him. But, I think there's a point to it. I think Scervo should have been a bigger bigger deal than he was. The other thing has to do with, kind of like with Ghirahim, but also with the Fire Sanctuary and the Elden Province in general. The Elden Province was, like, tiny. There was just Elden Volcano, and then the completely insignificant Volcano Summit area, which was like one room big. It was pointless that it even was there. It was so tiny. And the Fire Sanctuary, I still maintain that Volvagia probably should have been the boss there. But what if they had actually replaced the Fire Sanctuary? What if you did, you did the Earth Temple in Elden Volcano, but they had actually given Elden Volcano like another area, like it did a lot of the other provinces in Skyward Sword. You see, the thing is Locke, another staff member on Zelda Dungeon, pointed this out to me a long time before Skyward Sword even, came out, that in Snow Peak Ruins in Twilight Princess, there was actually crests on the, inside that mansion of, a saber weapon that looks almost exactly like the same kind of sword Ghirahim has. And we were thinking, well, what if there's this, we're gonna see Snow Peak Ruins in Skyward Sword as a dungeon and Ghirahim's in it or whatever, things like that. At least me, I don't know how much he was taking me seriously at this point, but I was thinking at one point that, they were combining some of the provinces together in Skyward Sword, that they were just going to have the 3 provinces, which was Lanayru, Faron, and Eldin, but it looked like they were taking the desert province and combining it with Let and Lanayru, since they were kind of adjacent. And they kind of, you know, did. I mean, it was just a big desert. They weren't really combined. But I thought it was like a thematic similarity, at least, or at least deciding that I thought that might be what they were going to do. And then I was thinking, at least, and I think Locke was a little bit too, that they were going to put Peak Province in with Eldin and have 2 mountains in that region, 2 different mountains spread apart. At which point you could actually go to Snow Peak. And playing the game, why did you fight Why did they make you fight Ghirahim in this like somewhat generic fire dungeon, arguably one of the more generic dungeons in that entire game, when they could have had you go to up an icy mountain? Because snow would have looked gorgeous in Skyward Sword. That would have been really interesting. And then you find Ghirahim's freaking hideout in a snowy mountain, Ghirahim's like retreat or whatever, and it's this creepy mansion. It's like the scary dungeon of the game, but it's also an ice dungeon, and that's where you fight Ghirahim. This could be where he hung out all those years while Demise was sealed. This could be his, his retreat, his hideaway. I think that would have been really cool. And, you know, they maybe even could have still had the Fire Sanctuary, just given him freaking Volvagia or something instead of Ghirahim. But I just love that idea of Ghirahim having his own mountain and his own mansion. And I think that's something that Skyward Sword really should have had. Not necessarily the Snow Peak thing exactly. I mean, you don't need to make that connection to make it work. But I just think that would have been an awesome concept to go with in general, that idea. Just some crazy thoughts I had. I know this isn't like a really serious topical video, but I definitely want to hear what you guys think about those ideas. And do you have any other moments like these in Skyward Sword where you think, why didn't they do this? And, you know, things that they think that they should have done or put in there. Because I think Skyward Sword was a game that did have a lot of that kind of thing where it was awesome, but they just made it seem like there was so many things they could have put in there. Maybe that's just a result of how awesome it was, or maybe that really does kind of happen with any game. You know, you think about things that they could have added in retrospect after playing it, but it seemed like it was a little stronger with Skyward Sword. So tell me your thoughts on that and on my ideas, and if you have any ideas of your own, and I'll see you guys later.